By the way, I did find it quite interesting as I went through your video's comments. I had somebody play 300
dude,
games.
People did not like that video from you. I thought it was like a funny joke, and people were just like, "Yo, it's guest gaming." I was like, "What the fuck?" I did like a riff. You did like I made an AI play 1,000,000 games of Grand Arena, and so I was like, I'm gonna make a real person play 1,000,000,000 games of Grand Arena. People are like, "Oh my god, are KM and Guest fighting?" I sent Guest the title. I was like, "Hey man, do you think they'll get that this is a reference to you?" So the title that's on there is his title. But like all the comments were like, "They be beefins." Like, Jesus.
No, it's true.
Okay?
Like, I know from when I made that video, I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of praise, but I also got a lot of hate. But remember, the haters will always remember all the time.
Yeah, nobody who liked that video.
None of the praisers commented under your video. All the haters were like, "Yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that sucked. I have been waiting so long to comment this." It was really funny especially because when you did send me your original title, my brain didn't go to like, I'm insulted, and my brain didn't go to like that. I went into YouTube optimization mode of like, it's too long. It's going to get cut off. You got to do this. It was just so funny reading all of it. Like, I started commenting under some of them like, "Yep, that was me. Yep, I did that." What about, I think my favorite was "It's best shilling." I was happy with that one, with that comment. I was like, "Yep, yeah, we're both shill casting essentially now." So makes sense for me.
That's true. It is a thing that we're doing. Absolutely.
I mean, especially now that, you know, you've gotten your feet wet in the world of Second Dinner now, you're really trying to like...
I really haven't done much, you know? Man. I would not describe it as like...
You're being thrown information and resources and, you know, you're doing things, you know, but I remember my first week and you're trying to absorb and realizing the sponge is quite saturated at times. And yeah, it can be a lot at times, but it's cool to see, you know, the creators also communicating with you behind the scenes and seeing those conversations starting to evolve and change. Because I noticed it with myself too. All of a sudden, people started talking very differently to me. And
nobody has done that yet.
Oh,
I kind of wish they would.
I disagree. I completely... Well, okay, let me be clear.
You just think I just haven't noticed? Interesting.
No. Because you're only noticing the people you normally converse with who treat you exactly the same. But I can already see a couple of the types of conversation shifting from the other side of your, you know, who you typically communicate with in the upper echelons of like, "Hey, we're the top 100 players, but we also have it to stream. And then we talk about games and decks and all these things." You know, there's that group that, you know, you talk with all the time from your own Discord and other Discords. But then on the other end, there's, you know, maybe the creator that hasn't had a chance to interact with you in that sense, but all of a sudden you've now got a blue name. Now I got a question for you, or now I say something like that, and it's evolving. So it's cool behind the scenes, kind of looking at all that kind of stuff, and especially now with the reaction that I know the creators gave when we gave them the heads up in regards to the OTA. Now you're looking at it through a different lens because you're looking at it through the creators have been commenting, and now I can't be just like exclusively KMBest in these responses because I'm creator KMBest, but at the same time I have a blue name. So
yeah, it's been a little awkward, yeah, for sure.
I think it's more awkward in the creator Discord like channels than it is talking on my own videos and my own streams, because that hasn't changed. I haven't changed what I say or my opinion. Like, I just went over, you know, a review of a card. I talked about it completely honestly. Same thing with the OTA. Talk about it completely honestly. Sitting here with you, talking as creator to creator, gonna talk about it completely honestly. The second I go into creator chat and I have a blue name, I can't talk about Debrii the same way because it might come off as representing Second Dinner. So I have to be really careful in how I communicate that kind of stuff, like opinion versus representative.
Yeah, I was in the main chat today on the Discord and someone was asking for help and it was like, I can help you, but as a creator and not as a representative of Second Dinner. And like the main channel was like clowning me. They were like, Cam can't walk anywhere without giving a disclaimer. And it's like, yeah, kind of. It's true. I want to keep these things separated. I want to make sure that people understand, okay, here's my opinion, and then here is I am acting as a representative in some way. And no matter how many times I say it, there are going to be like crossings of those streams. But this is going to sound dumb. I fundamentally trust people that if I approach them in an open and honest and straightforward way with these disclaimers, they will trust me back. That is my hope. That like I am not going to be forced to stop interacting in the way that I do, because I think people are cool generally, and if I can help them, I will be happy to.
But just whatever you do, never forget that people suck. That's really important. And gamers don't read. And basically, no matter what we do, we're always wrong. So as long as you keep that as the core understanding of what you're saying, I think it's fine. Then we talk about OTA notes as creators.
Sure. But yeah, like we're starting with Debrii. We shouldn't start with Debrii. We should start with, what we should start with. You know what we should start with. You already, like, I know you know. No, but good gag. I appreciate that. That's like I like that's.
You walked yourself into a Topaz gag. I did. Like, come on, man. I walked
myself into a Topaz gag. That's true. During this podcast, I was helping the guy with the deck, right? He was like, here's my collection. What should I play? Turns out the answer, Supergiant Ronin. Sorry for introducing another Supergiant Ronin gamer to the ladder, but it's like very clearly the best deck he could build. Yeah. Even probably after this. This was not what I meant, by the way, though, in terms of where I thought we should start.
Oh, you really? No way.
All right, dude, come on. Just put her on the screen. Just put her on the screen.
All right, fine.
Put her on the screen. Just put her on the screen. We know what we're doing here.
No, we don't. We don't know what we're doing. All right, fine. I know what we're doing, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to make sure I cycled through all 7 cards on the screen for you first.
Sure. Yeah. Like, I see. Here's the thing. I'm a believer that there's a joke is funny and then it's not funny. But then if you keep doing it when it's not funny, it becomes funny again.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of those cases, right? It was funny the first time, and then like 2, 3, I don't know, 6 or 7, pretty funny. Great example there, by the way. Nocturne, I feel on some level sort of personally betrayed by fate, where it's like KMBest joins Second Dinner, Nocturne goes to 3-5. Like, yes! I obviously am not across this stuff at all. I have no latitude by which to say, this should or should not happen. I am not a person who they would listen to if they did, right? Yeah. I am a marketing intern. But I do think that Nocturne 3-5 is not a change that is problematic from a balance standpoint, and that makes it okay. But my instinct is that it could be a challenge that is problematic from a game feel standpoint. And the big knock on Nocturne 3-5 is I think it just goes in a lot of decks. I am going to put it in my Supergiant deck. I am going to put it in my Techno-Organic Virus deck. I might put this in my Silver Surfer deck. I might put this in my Captain Carter combo deck that isn't even running Silver Surfer. I'm going to put this in a lot of places. And when this card goes in a lot of places, the function of this card overwhelmingly is to reduce the impact of RNG on the game. And I get it, Nocturne is also RNG. But when you have location control that is built into a body that is good, and I don't just mean 3-5 Scarlet Witch, I mean movable 3-5 is just good. And I think that the big risk with Nocturne, the big risk with a change like this is if she goes in a bunch of decks, she makes the game have less texture. She makes better players win more because they are better at understanding what RNG to nullify. And I think that she becomes a card that is flattening for the metagame in bad ways. So for all these and more reasons that are not related to her power level, this is never a change I would have done. And I used to joke about, like, if I get hired a second dinner, you'll never know, but there'll be signs. And the joke was always that, like, I would buff a card that I liked or whatever. If you want some proof that I'm not across this stuff, this is it. Like,
yeah, that's fair. Because
I don't think there's a single buff that I've argued against more in public channels.
Yeah, no, 100%. So much so that when I received the notes to prepare them for the blog, you were the first person I DM'd in the company and was like, dude, get ready.
He sent me like 4 consecutive messages that all basically amounted to like exclamation point, 2 exclamation points, 3 exclamation. Like that was functionally the thing that he was saying.
Just get ready. Dude, get ready. Because
I mean, look, here's
we all know
the people that run balance are smarter than me.
Yeah,
they are. They're better at their jobs than I am at doing their jobs. I totally understand that. And so it's one of those cases where it's like, I don't think this is something I would have done, but you guys are smarter than me and I'll defer to you. And I think that, you know, maybe you'll be onto something, and I'm stupid and I'm, you know, over indexing for this because of various feelings that I have about what matters in this game that may or may not actually be true. And that's a long way of saying I'm probably playing this card a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, I think this now steps back into that position that I think Copycat probably was like the closest equivalent to of like what took over that position of I just need a good flexible 3. Doesn't have to have a direct synergy with any part of the deck, but it's a good flexible 3. And that's what Copycat basically became as a staple for power. Now we're in 3/5, good power and movability and location control back all again. And it's amazing how 1 point of power difference on Nocturne changes that all by itself, because it was so good at 3/5 previously in a different meta, to be fair, different cards existed, etc., that it's like, we have to nerf this. And now here we are again, and they're going, you know what? We think this is okay. I know we're going into a season of move, you know, with, you know, Spider-Man and stuff like that, but like,
It's like, it's one of those things where I think that if they did this during Sholau, if they did this during Star-Lord, it wouldn't have mattered nearly as much. It might have been relevant in Sholau.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have mattered nearly as much. But we're finally back in a metagame where people are just playing like copycats. And if Copycat is playable, I think this is mostly better. And that, like, it's the exact time when I would be scared of this having an outsized impact, as opposed to like in more combo heavy metagames. Because I think if you looked at the last 6 months, we're kind of in the 1 month where I think this would actually have a real balance implication. And in 5 of the last 6 months, maybe they do this and it just doesn't change anything.
I'm trying to think also, like, with this card in particular, it was similar to when Merlin was incredibly good, right? You just didn't play Magic decks. And now we go back into a 3/5 Nocturne world where, okay, you just don't play Magic decks. But then I think about the meta, and the only Magic deck that starts to jump out to me was Zombie Galacti, but a lot of those decks have also been recently cutting Magic. So is this just because we're not using it for Magic and Limbo tech? Is this now just like generically overall best plug and play 3-cost card in the game?
I like, this is the other thing about her is I think that like she's a card that rewards stronger players because they get more, not just out of location control, but out of moving. Like, players who do a lot of math as to like, what is my final turn output? Those are the people that she rewards. And so I don't know if she's ever, like, when you look at her and you look at Copycat, right? Or you look at her and you look at Kraglin, who's like the dumb stats guy now, right?
Yeah.
I think that's sort of what the competition will be, and she'll be one of those cards. And I would expect that higher level players would take her more often. I don't want to be right about this because I don't think that Nocturne is like a risk to be broken. I think she's just a risk to be quite good and quite common. And that she's a card that I don't necessarily think should be as common as I fear she might be. If I could magically like make her play rate cap at something, I wouldn't have any of these problems, but I'm not sure I can.
I think something with it too. You talk about like this card, it helps good players more than it helps bad players. But I think it's important to note that it helps both. And the degree in which is also very different, because a good player, a top end, player is going to be able to capitalize understanding the 90% positive variance of, okay, this works and it's really unlikely that it will backfire on me. Therefore, I'm just treating this as a 3-5, right?
Yep.
More often than not, that's the case. But at the same time, the not as good players end up winning some games sometimes because of the random thing that happens with the location conversion. Like it slides into a lane, fills it up, and it becomes, I don't know, what's the location that you have to, plus 100 if you have the most cards here?
Mojo World.
Yeah, Mojo World. Like it's a Mojo World and you happen to have 4 cards, your opponent has 3. It's an auto win.
Like, she can screw you over. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And it's absolutely going to happen. Something that I am curious about, and I just haven't played this card in that long, is I wonder how the location replacing in this card is programmed. Is it programmed to all currently active locations, or is it locations that like it hasn't had its update pool done?
Oh, my understanding is it works the same way as Scarlet Witch, which works the same way as there is a blank location, which is to say it uses the same weightings as a location.
Oh, okay.
So the way the location pool works, as I understand it, is there, and this is not official information. This is like stuff that like data miners and whatnot did math on.
Years of info. Yeah.
Yes. My understanding, and this is like how it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I have no idea if they've changed it since then, was that it was like there were locations weighted as like common, rare, uncommon, and whatever ego is, right? And effectively, each one of those put X amount of chips in a bowl. So if you're common, you put 10 chips in a bowl for every common. And like every time it rolls one of those 10 chips, it's that location. If you're uncommon, it's 5 chips. If you're rare, it's 3 chips. If you're epic, it's 1 chip or whatever, right? Like again, the numbers are fake, but it's like that. That's sort of functionally how it ends up working. And then that's just the exact same thing that I believe Scarlet Witch accesses, and the same thing that Nocturne accesses, and the same thing that Omniversal Presence accesses, is just re-roll the location based on how you would normally roll locations.
Yeah, my inquiry is more in the sense of what pool is it of locations is it pulling from? The current up-to-date
Oh, are you just
pool?
saying, no, I don't think, no, it pulls from whatever. I don't think that is localized to the card is what I'm saying.
It's not localized like a Ramatut timing. I think that's a good comparison.
Correct. The cards are tied to a function, but it's the same function that happens every time a location reveals.
Got it. Okay.
So that is automatically updated, to my understanding.
So either way, with all that unnecessary conversation for 99% of the listeners, basically take out of this that, you're just playing this card all the time, right?
I might, but
pretty sure you will.
Who can say?
Speaking of who can say, I think the conversation about Websling is really
that's where you want to.
Really
that's
interesting.
Crazy. I mean, like, okay, all right.
It is, because I honestly believe this is probably the most meaningful change in the entire OTA, and I'm not even trolling. I mean it 100%. Because of the season that we're going into.
Because the multiple man deck is good? Or you're saying because of the okay.
No, because of the season that we're going into, and the fact that the way that this is worded also created so much conversation for the creators that I'm really curious to see how the community. No, I think it is good because people want to know, is this going to do the awesome thing or is this going to be like just a good thing? Where
here's a question, new version, do we know?
So with the current version of Websling, the text on it reads, next turn, one of your cards here is movable. It's still a 1-cost skill, but they've added now and gets +1 power when it moves. The conversation that was being had in the background was, does that mean any time it moves from that period on, or from the time that the movable activity is done? And I think the good the best part of that was thinking about something like Silk, where if you had Silk do the awesomeness the right way in this weird combo, and all of a sudden every time Silk moves over the whole rest of the game, is it +1 that Silk just goes through the absolute
well, it's clearly not over the whole rest of the game. The question is if you move it multiple times on the next turn,
right?
Because like it does say next turn.
It's not happening. There's that too.
Yeah we know it's not just like it says next turn, so we know it at most is going to be next turn. But what we don't know is what happens if you move something multiple times on the next turn. What happens if you put it on a multiple man and move the multiple man into a Hercules location? Is it +1 and then +1, or is it just a simple static +1? And how much of an influence do you think that has on, like, I'm going to give you a scenario. You think this card is a 7 out of 10 on power level. I tell you that it does not do that. How far do you drop it?
I don't drop it very far at all. And I'll give you a perfect example.
No, I'm going to go the other way first before throwing it back to you. You think this card is like a 7 out of 10 on power level. I tell you that it works the entirety of next turn. And you can get multiple procs off of it if you move something multiple times, but only for the next turn. Do you think that, how much does that make you raise it?
1 point. Go to 8 out of 10.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to get a sense of like what degree you felt this mattered for, because I think it is cool, but I'm not sure I feel like the degree is super impactful. Like you're talking maybe 1.10% of the time, you know?
I'm not even going to make my point. I'm just going to put it on the screen, say what it is, and I'm going to let you, knowing your brain, you're going to immediately go, got it. Here's my counterpoint. Okay. All I'm going to do on the other side of the screen is I'm going to click away and click deafening chord.
I get what you're saying. You're saying that, like, you know, the addition of a power made that card go from played everywhere to not played at all. This is another 1-cost skill that's getting an additional power. And you think that it'll have a similar effect in the opposite direction. I think deafening chord is way better and way more ubiquitous. Where this is still a
small words. People don't read. You think they figured out what that word is yet?
But there's a lot more decks that want to play a deafening chord than there are that want to play a Websling. And also, Websling is in a space that has a lot of competition. There aren't other 1-cost things that do what deafening chord does. There are a bunch of 1-cost movers in the move archetype. So I think for those reasons, I would disagree. I would disagree with your 1-to-1 here. And by the way, can I just say, I'm really proud of 1-to-1, given they're both 1-cost cards.
Yes, that's a worthwhile golf clap pun.
Really like
small little one right there. I must say this, though. You, in my opinion, are looking way too narrow at this.
Okay.
I think Websling's utility, look, as good as it's going to be in move archetypes, it's going to be a great card. It's, you know, that's the whole point of what the card is supposed to be for. And it's supposed to obviously be enabling a bunch of the new cards that are coming out for the brand new day season. That's the whole point of it's a spider season. We always know there are going to be cards that move. That's just how it works. However, I'm looking at this and I'm going, you know what? This is probably better than Nightcrawler and Captain Carter combo. I'm looking at this and I'm going, there are little pieces. There are little pieces here and there that, like, whenever you're looking at a Nightcrawler, you're looking at it for, why is this in this deck? Is it to fill a location space, to create a location space, or is this to temporarily hold it? And there are different scenarios where this is more beneficial than that.
Yeah, I think that Captain Carter combo, once it's Nightcrawler for specific space-related things, like manipulating how many things are in front of or behind a Captain Carter, not exactly replaceable with Web Sling. Super Giant once Nightcrawler for tempo, not exactly replaceable with Web Sling. But
exactly.
This conversation did get me thinking on something, which is, you know what really scares me with this card? Iska.
Iska, yeah, Iska is going to be
very
good with this.
That is really scary. That's like, I see that and I'm like, that feels like something. That feels like a thing that it's like, I'm getting multiple pieces of output out of both sides of this here. That's the thing where it's like, suddenly we're using all the parts of the buffalo. And that's the first thing that I've heard with this where I'm like, I'm starting to see where you're coming from.
Shuri Galactus.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Shuri Galactus. Turn 5, you get to play Web Sling, followed by Shuri. Slide Shuri out, play Galactus.
God bless. I mean, like, salute to you. Have fun, dude. Like, I mean, sure. Like,
you know, you can do even Shuri. Fine, don't do Shuri. You want? Set it up to all the same way and do the whole like Galactus with stick that way. Sure, do it that way too. That whole idea of clear the lane for Galactus, this can absolutely help with that because you're not doing it for the power. You're now saying, oh, we can do it this way. And it has the alternate. Sure, yeah, it synchronizes with that part of the deck. But if it doesn't, then you can still get the reinforcement and you can use it in other aspects, like for your Nimrods and repositioning those, for example. There's going to be some cheeky stuff with that.
There's no way I actually think this is good. I want to be clear. By the way, can I just say, I've called Victoria Henna fraud a lot. I've already done plenty of apologies for that. But I noticed that she was like my best performing deck of the last 2 years. And so I after this like most recent run I've had with her, I think like almost half of the cubes I've gained in Infinite are her. And that's a crazy stat. And so I went back and I sorted my untapped by 2 years. You know what deck I found in there? The original Kid Omega deck. Do you know what win rate I had with that pile of garbage?
I'm scared.
It was 75% over like 50 games. It was insane. It was just like, oh my God. I remembered it being strong. It was like, what the hell happened? Like, thank God for Stardust, dude. Good Lord.
Yeah. I think that the Web Sling edition of getting the +1 power is going to be something that is experimented with and found to be just incredibly universal. I think this is going to be a much more plug and play card. Like I was using this prior to this buff. I was using it in Zombie Galacti because it's like, that's a no brainer to me. It's a location you want to move things around, and it's a good way to not get something onto a skill, the pre-assigned Galacti infection. Great, awesome. So some people run Deafening Chord. I was running Web Sling because then I could also manipulate some of that power on the final turns if I realized they were already starting to try to stack against it or move into compete a different lane. And I could just slide one of the extra bodies over before the conversion, and it works. Now I've got power in there too. That's important if you're putting it onto something like a Maverick, for example. You know, that matters. Put it onto stick. That matters. I think that there's going to be some really cool experimentation with this card. I think it's going to be the more unique card that people are going to want to play with out of all of the buffs that actually will find a home. Because there was another buff that should have probably released with the card and didn't.
What you hate? Tell me what you hate.
What I hate?
Yeah, I'm trying to hype you up to talk about this next buff that you're like, oh, I can't believe they finally did it. They should have done it 6 months ago. Get ready. Tell me about it. Speak on it.
I was going to talk about Jubilee Silver Surfer. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about with 6 months ago. Like, I'm just talking about Jubilee and the fact that, like,
I thought you were going to talk about Topaz. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, that bit was in the beginning. So Jubilee Silver Surfer.
That is, I thought you were hyping yourself up to be like, God, 2-4 Topaz. No,
yeah.
Yep.
No, Jubilee Silver Surfer probably should have released as a 4-3. Like from the very beginning, and it was incredibly is incredibly underpowered. And as a 4-2, I'm like, I tried to do all the cool things with it, but even as a 4-3, I really don't know if I'm going to be playing this card, because I think the better version of what this card wanted to be, which is Merida, and that's saying something, who we'll talk about later. I still don't think I want to play Jubilee Silver Surfer unless if I'm trying to make a YouTube clip.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that's your job, isn't it?
One of many, yes.
I think that I'm happy to see Jubilee Silver Surfer get buffed. Mm-hmm. I also think that she's kind of a scary card to buff. Like, I'm kind of surprised they pulled the trigger that quick. She must have had really terrible stats. And this is one of those cards where it's like, I think it's pretty difficult to balance a card like this long term. I think Captain Carter is a great example. It's like, oh, this card effectively triples. Someone's going to do something stupid with that eventually. So we just got to find a number that makes it okay and leave it there for as long as we possibly can before someone figures out how to do something really stupid with it, right? And, 4-3 would not be that. There are certainly numbers that would be that for this card. And, hopefully things are able to work out for Jubilee Silver Surfer. She's definitely super mediocre right now. I don't know that 4-3 changes her mediocrity, but it does go a long way towards making her not feel embarrassing, which is good. Yeah, because she doesn't really seem to have a sense of shame based on these variants. This is just a crazy amount of confidence. Like, I'm out here, I'm wearing a collared shirt for the first time on the show, and I'm self-conscious. I'm like, I should have worn an undershirt and then unbuttoned it, and that would have looked better. I feel like I look like I'm at Shabbat services right now. I'm super, and she's out here rocking what I can only describe as either skin tight armor or literally just her skin and a jacket. First of all, I couldn't pull the jacket off. Not if I had a full outfit to go with it. I could never pull that off. I couldn't pull the glasses off. And she's just like 100% confident in what she's doing right there, which is admirable, really.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here looking like a fucking monk and just like looking at all y'all with your fashion senses.
Yeah, like a monk with gamer glasses.
Yeah. I've been wearing this sweatshirt all week, and I cut my hair on Monday night, so it's really super short, and it's just a baggy brown hoodie, and I've been looking at myself going, yeah, you know what? It's monk gaming. Yeah, that's what it's been all week long. Every video.
I've been contemplating shaving. I've been contemplating shaving this and this. I'm gonna go guest mode. Yeah, I'm gonna go guest mode. Just go fully clean shaven. I don't know.
Don't. Please don't. Please don't.
I talked to Ordinary Hair yesterday, who has a great beard. He has like a great one that's like, it's like right here. I can never get mine to do that. I was like, hey, what numbers do you use on your beard? And he was like, go to a barber shop, you moron. And it's like, okay, you're right.
Yeah. I get it. But at the same time, it's,
it's like, sure.
I get it. I mean, I do my own fades. I did an Italian fade this week. I was like, I
need to know how to do that. Like, that's what I want to do, but I am too afraid. To try it.
As long as you're willing to screw up, just go for it.
Yeah, when you guys see me with horrendous facial hair in the near future, just know this is why.
Just blame me. That seems to be the trend since you've started working with us too. If something goes wrong, I'm just going to blame Guest.
If something goes wrong, it's his fault. I've never done anything wrong in my life.
Never. Yeah. Nothing whatsoever. Yeah. Anyway, Jubilee
He's
Silver
like my
Surfer.
Sin eater.
Jubilee Silver Surfer. Legitimately, though, here's the thing about this card that I use Krakoa as the perfect example here. I hate cards that force me into such a negative position of, to get the maximum benefit, you have to play these cards now or next, right? Mm-hmm. So I look at Jubilee Silver Surfer. I look at Submariner. I felt the exact same way. It's like, look, if you want to get the full benefit out of this.
You look at who?
Submariner.
Mr. Atlantic?
Mr. Ocean Wide, sure, whatever. I talked to him.
Thank you.
And I think about, playing him, and it's the same exact mindset. It's you really want and have to or need to play this card. It's almost like, for the other end of the world, in the upper echelons, and you're thinking, okay, I've Mother Ascani'd this card, and I didn't get to use both cards for the benefit that I wanted to. And it feels like you didn't get the full value out of it. This card even furthers that because it's only the final 2 draws. And typically you're trying to set up a certain combo or a certain finisher. You're already thinking about it turn 2, turn 3, going into turn 4. Like you're already starting to create your end game plan for that game. And this is a card that's telling you, hang on, before you do that though, just know you're going to get this bonus right here on this one. And then and then it's going to happen again one more time. And if you really want, look, you played me, you put the investment down, you paid for me. You better get every damn point out of me. That's how it feels.
Yeah, but I think that's a function of her archetype, right? A lot of cards in the sort of Maverick space are extremely prescriptive in terms of you can get the maximum output out of this only if you do things in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Yeah.
And Jubilee doesn't fit that because she is giving those buffs effectively at random. And it's why she doesn't fit in that archetype as well as you would want. But I don't think that means that this design space doesn't work with the like big expensive card that does something cool to the top of your deck. I think it's specifically about if you're playing Maverick and Captain Carter, you're stacking Mavericks and Captain Carters.
Yeah.
And those need specificity, and she doesn't provide that. So I agree that she feels that way, but I think it's more about the context around her and her specific method of doing that. Like, what if it was when you draw a card, it gets a discount equal to this card's power? I mean, again, still tied to power, but like not the same way. Going above 3 doesn't have the same level of like, you're like, oh, maybe that's diminishing returns. Maybe I don't need to invest all that shit in there. Maybe I'm just playing her and getting free stuff. Again, just an example, right?
Yeah.
Like, because her input and output are the same, she gets tied to a lot of stuff that makes her feel worse because she doesn't fit the play pattern of the deck.
And I think a big part of it too is that she doesn't have a deck.
Well, because that too.
There's no deck that says this truly benefits you, right? There's decks that you can make this work in, or you could try to have it be like a backup plan for, but all the decks that want to do that are just like combo-y stuff that always do better by having more options on the combos. And this is not one of those options. This is a flare. You throw this up in case of an emergency. Like, I need points.
I'm so card game pilled. I'm thinking of like Magic the Gathering card flare. I was like, what is the relationship between?
No, like the flare gun.
Yeah, like a flare
on
like
a boat.
The actual object. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I was using the Merida comparison, because both of these cards are cards that say, okay, you want a deck that wants a lot of draws, right? So this works well in like a Thanos deck because you have a lot of cards in there that have a lot of draws or instigate a lot of draws, like King Eitri, the Stones, etc. And you can proc them to all happen after you play this card down, and then just like get a bunch of benefit. But if I have to choose between getting +3 power on my stones or getting -1 cost on my stones, I'm always taking the -1 cost every single time.
Sure, yeah.
So the deck it wanted to be best in just got it's replaced it. It just got a replacement. So I don't know where this card goes until it becomes cheaper. Like, I would much rather see this as a 3/2 or a 2/1 kind of a card.
That's the Captain Carter thing, right? See that. Like, you do it, and then a year from now, it'll be like, God, I can't believe they did that shit.
Yeah, but that's what the card wants to do. It wants to.
I agree.
Have more time to put those buffs over time rather than literally just the last 2 turns of draws, whether you're creating extra draws or not.
I agree with that premise. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure I agree with specifically that they should do it, but I do agree that an effect like this wants to have an earlier play than 4.
All right, so should we start talking about deck nerfs?
I mean, it's your show. Someone asked me. I was on it's on the Fourth Location podcast, Series 6, and every time I go on someone else's show, I feel terrible when I talk all the time, and I talked all the time. I like the first 15 minutes of that podcast, I feel like were 12 minutes of me, and I talked to them about it, and I was like, I feel really bad about that. And they're like, no, that's what we wanted you to do. That's why we brought you in here, so that you would just do that. It's like, we want you to do this. And it's like, okay. And so I started making jokes about how many podcasts I have. And I forgot this one. I was like, I've got 2 podcasts. I forgot that this was a podcast that I did, because it feels like it's so much your thing, which I bring up because what I was going to say is like, hey man, it's your show. I don't know if people realize that I think of this as your show, but I do think of this as your show.
I don't get why. But you're on the thumbnail. You're the first person on the thumbnail.
You're like a sort of, I don't know. You're okay. You know those monks that brew beer?
Yes, I do. Clearly,
you're like one. Yeah. You're like one of those, but for podcasts. This is like a Trappist podcast.
I feel like if I was going to be in any kind of like monastery like that, it would probably end up being the same one that Ace Ventura ended up in, but that's just because it's my luck. I digress.
Sure.
Let's talk nerfs. Let's start with the obvious one.
Yeah, Topaz got nerfed. What up, dude? Let's talk nerfs.
If you're playing Topaz, it's a nerf.
How the hell? What?
Every move deck that has ever added Topaz lost cubes.
Okay, counterpoint. Cerebro 4 Topaz multiple man.
It makes me so happy. So happy when
I'm getting in on the Cerebro.
Yeah, that you're joining in on the Cerebro. You still haven't learned to let me deliver a fucking punchline at times, but you still at least are joining the Cerebro bandwagon of counterpoint occasionally.
Do you know what the funniest part of that is for me? Is I knew that if I jumped in, like, I was like, here we go. Here's my chance.
It's true though.
Yeah, no,
it's something you think about.
I've decided to join the legions of commenters that whenever anything happens, they're like, how does this impact Cerebro?
Yeah.
And so I think that we should do a podcast that is purely through the lens of Cerebro, like reviewing an OTA purely through that, where it's like we go and get like Jay Walla or Mani, and then every time like we talk about a change, it's like Nocturne. I can't believe Cerebro 4 had good location control. Now it doesn't have location control. Let's talk about the implications of Cerebro 4 losing location control for 10 minutes. And then the implications of Cerebro 5 gaining location control for 10 more minutes. And then we talk about C4 Topaz for like an additional 5. Like I feel like that would be such a funny bit podcast that I would really be interested in doing.
See, this is where our content brains differ, because very similarly to the joke aspect you talked about of it's one thing to drive a joke home. And then after a while you hit like okay, I get you're making a joke thing. And then if you keep drilling on it, it just gets funnier. And it's very much a British humor type of approach. Very, very much. It's like a Monty Python bit. I absolutely get that.
Do you know how much I had to hold myself back? I do not know the Muffin Man. Do you know how much I had to hold myself back from interrupting that to do the same like repeated joke bit? Do you have any idea how hard that was for me?
Knowing you, I believe it. I 100% believe you.
I tried so hard.
But this is where our content brains differ, where you, in your mind, you go to podcasts, like you want to do this. In my mind, I go to the fact of I want to call back the KM kinda guy again and just do it as an OTA one time and just treat it like that. where it's just a 15-minute video that talks about the OTA and everything is done through the lens of a.
Can I just say, when someone sent me a screenshot of that, I don't know if I've told this on the podcast. I actually thought Guest had AI'd me.
Oh my God, it was so funny. I think
I legit, like, they sent me the screenshot of that, and I was like, dude, I told you not to AI my face.
I was like, that's a real guy, dude. And the only reason you thought it was because you believed your Discord.
Right, which I like.
That was your downfall.
That's on me, right? Like that's on me. I probably should have known better.
But either way, that's where my brain goes. Is if you're gonna go talk about Topaz, you have to talk about it through the lens of mostly being a nerf. Because sure, it's great that Topaz is a 2/4. That's awesome. However, I really, really dislike this card in general from just a design point. Where after you play a card here, move it to the middle location. Even this is exclusively now, hey, you're building a movable deck. That's it. It's a movable Hydra Stomper deck. It's the only deck I see this working in consistently. And that's what they're trying to go towards. We have all of these movable cards now, and there's going to be more most likely coming into the game because we see spiders are coming. Therefore, hey, look, things are going to move. Let's get ready for the move season. They said it in the patch note. Like, I get it, but just dislike the design of the card because it's so pigeonholed to you have to play this on the outside and you have to move that card to the mid. And that feels very restricting.
I get that, but here's what I'll say, and here's why I think this is a cute and evocative design.
If you say fucking multiple man again, I swear to God.
Wasn't planning on it. Topaz is the Grandmaster's attendant. If you remember in the Thor movie where he's Thor Ragnarok, where like he goes to the world where he's like fighting in an arena, he ends up fighting the Hulk. Mm-hmm. That world is run by the Grandmaster. Right. And Topaz is the lady who stands next to him with the big stick that like shocks people, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time, but yeah, I got
Topaz and the Grandmaster both functioning off of being side lanes and moving things to the middle location. I don't think I've ever seen anyone acknowledge it. It's good design, goddammit. Like, that's cute.
Great design for theming. Sucks to play. Great design for theming.
I buy that. But it doesn't necessarily. That's the other thing with the character like Topaz. It doesn't have to be the world's greatest card. And so I think it's nice that they're like, A, willing to experiment with 2/4s. B, I think this card is genuinely a little bit underrated. And C, I realize that it can feel restrictive to play, but so much of the rest of move decks are about these puzzle solvings where you go between restrictive and very open-ended. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a part of the archetype in move in a way that, like, if this wasn't doing move stuff, I think I'd probably feel differently about it, right? If this was like a destroy card of some kind, I'd be like, that does suck. You're right. Like, that actually is sucky. With move, it feels like it's part of a larger, sort of more finicky theme.
I think, like, no matter what, going into the season, of course, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to make something work with it. And I think we'll probably find this works well in one deck, and it's like, okay, cool, this is the option deck, the option card. It's like the 10th or 11th card in there, kind of a thing. Like that I get. It's just
I'll take anything that makes my newly acquired Beach Dagger variant slightly more playable.
That is completely fair, though. That is completely fair. I can understand.
Shout out Topaz. I'm going to be playing a lot of Dagger, and I'm going to be playing a lot of Doom 2099 in the near future.
Oh, you
purely
for
album? Variant reason. Oh, I finished the album.
Nice.
Dude, did you see the Doom 2099 makes variants of Doombots on Ski-Doos?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Come on.
I know.
This is not financial advice. In fact, I would highly advise everyone doing that's listening to this podcast to not do this.
Don't judge, but
Sure.
I hear you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I know. Just
yep. This is not financial advice. It's the opposite of that, actually.
Not at all. Having the extra variants just because, you know, they're it's remember how we talked in the past about when Lambie would play in tournaments and he'd play Thanos, he'd play an all inked deck because it forced you. Yeah, the value of forcing the opponent to really have to pay attention and then sometimes even click in to remember which stone does what because they forget that the title of the stone is the color and that's the reflection. But they still forget, so they have to click into it. That's why you play these variants, because it's distracting to your opponent. They have to click in to Luna Snow, to Mystique, to Dagger, to Nico Minoru, to Psylocke. You know, it's just strategy. It is a competitive advantage.
Is that what it is?
The 100%. The next winner of the Golden Gauntlet will be somebody who uses 12 of these variants in a deck. Telling you right now, without an unhinged question of a doubt, and it will be guaranteed to show up on stream. I'm telling you right now, you go into the next Golden Gauntlet with 12 variants, and you have a HD PC stream. You will end up on my broadcast. I am telling you that right now. I make those calls. I am telling the world.
I thought you were done. You just go right back in. I've been laughing off the mic. Like I've been laughing like this direction from the mic so it doesn't get picked up for like 75% of that bit. You stopped and I was like,
you call it a bit. I'm not done. Like I am fully serious. I know what good marketing is, damn it. I put that on screen.
Oh, man.
I will go directly to Twitch and be like, you put me on front page because these are the decks that are going to be showcased. Look at these variants. You want this on the front page. Family, show my ass.
I do not co-sign this.
This is why I'm on Game On and you're not. I can make those decisions and fall for them too.
I do not co-sign this.
Digressing.
A little bit.
Yeah, it happens. Which do you want to talk about in the red category? I'll let you legitimately choose.
Aurora.
Go.
Because the other two are kind of the same deck.
Yeah.
So when I first saw this, the reaction I think a lot of people had is, what are they smoking? Like, what happened here? What did Aurora do to catch this stray? And my best guess is that this is one of those cases where it's just like, that's a really easy deck to play. It's just a really easy deck to play, and it's catching a stray because it's a really easy deck to play. And whenever they check whatever subsection of the metagame, at like the main portion of the, what you started smiling. What did I say? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Whenever they check the middle of that, right? A lot of easy decks tend to rise to the top. This feels like a classic one of those cases where they found an easy deck and they were like, win rate on this is crazy. It's like 60% win rate at rank 70, and that's where every one of our players is. So we got to do something about this. Just add it to the list, dude. Darkhawks. You got Darkhawk, you got Doom 2099, you got Surtur. They've all been this card before. Aurora, just the next one.
I am so happy you are so blind. This right here is something that you have acknowledged that you are blind to. And the entire top half of Infinite is constantly in debate about and are constantly realizing, wait a minute, hold on, is this good or not? This is a stray from Venus. That's what this is. And
I agree with that.
You in the top end of Infinite, where you've said on your other productions and videos and whatevers that is Venus good, yes or no? And slowly more and more people are recognizing in the top half of Infinite, you know what, Venus is actually really good. Even if there is a Shadow King, it is good. It is something viable.
I think she's a good card, which I will say, my estimation of her has, let me put it this way. My estimation of Venus has increased the less Venus zombie decks I see. Like if you imagine Venus
That's
as
fair.
like a pie chart.
Yeah.
A lot of that pie chart was zombie decks. And so a lot of my impression of Venus was zombie decks. And it was just like, this is horrible. This is not a deck that lasts, right?
It's too fragile.
I've been messing around. I tried really hard to do a teched out, sort of stripped down Venus Angela Bishop, like Juggernaut kind of deck. Mm-hmm. And I actually liked it a lot. I just, you can't beat a Gambit in a million years. You just die. Like you can't beat that deck. They copy a Gambit, they copy a Sasquatch. Either one beats you. They have more points and they blow your stuff up. It's just like, okay, well, GG. Aurora is the other half of that pie chart now that most people have gotten off the zombie stuff. And again, like say this for Aurora, at least she plays interaction, right? My big issue with the Venus decks, especially the zombie stuff, is they don't play interaction. Aurora's got Cosmo. Aurora's got like a Spider Ham. There's something to stop someone from comboing over the top of you. You can do things about that, right? And to me, that's what I always didn't like about the Venus decks. They were just 12 engine. So I do agree this is a stray from Venus. I probably should have mentioned it. But I also still think it's a stray. You know what I mean? Like, I still think it's like...
It is 100% Second Dinner's approach at saying, like, look, Venus is really good. But it's also the season pass, super premium season pass card, and it's selling because it is really good. But the deck is too good in general, so let's take the final card to one of the more well-rounded decks, Aurora, and just knock 1 point off it. Because sometimes, as we know, Second Dinner likes to nerf a card by a point or two just to back the play rate off exclusively. That's it. And I'm telling you right now, if you're playing Aurora and she's a 6/5, you don't stop playing the deck and you don't substitute out Aurora. You still play the card.
I will say this. I don't really like Venus is a good card. I'll give her that. I'm not on really good island. Like I've gone
for
like
a B tier kind of card.
I think that the removal of TOV from the metagame, which was just a better points package, has done wonders for her. And she is now competitive with other good points packages. But I do not think she is sitting on top of them the way that I would want her to do. She is one of many. And for what it's worth, TOV did have a lot to do with that. Like TOV was just, my numbers are better, my tech is better. Good luck with that, dude. Like you have fun. We have comparable points engines and I have better interaction. And that has changed.
So you heard it here. KM wants Venus sitting on top along with others. Now we know.
Boy, talk about something I'm blind to. Yeah, I probably should have seen that one coming.
You said Debrii and NTW are the same deck and the same nerf.
Yeah, functionally.
Go into that.
Tempo deck. Debrii's losing a point of power because turns out 3/8 is really good. Negasonic losing a point of power because, why shouldn't she? Like, there's just no, you could do any nerf to Negasonic and I would be like, I bet that's still probably decent. Like, that's probably still a solid card. I remember when Negasonic and Juggernaut cost 3.
The good old days. The good old days.
Yeah. You like at any point in the last 6 months, they could have been like Negasonic to 4 power. And I would have been like, yep, okay.
But those Cerebro 4 gamers now.
God damn it. I was wondering where it was going to go. I could tell. I knew it was something from the glasses. And I was like, what's it going to be?
Oh, yeah. No. Like, there's more and more pieces have been slowly joining Cerebro 4. And I don't know. Maybe talk to Monty. But just keep an eye on it.
But yeah, like, it's Cerebro 5 loses Negasonic. It gains Nocturne, but it loses Negasonic. Would you consider that a trade up or a trade down? My instinct, low key, trade up because it didn't really have good location control, but Negasonic's a really good card.
I'd probably call it for C4. I'm going to call it a trade up. Actually, I think it's a trade up for both, to be honest.
I think it's a trade down for C4 and a trade up for C5. And I know that sounds ridiculous because I think Negasonic's probably a better card. But location control in Cerebro is at such a premium that I think it's just like the most important thing any C deck can get.
I feel like it ends up evolving into like the Merlin variants. Like that I could see actually being like something for C4 now. Because now you do have the location control and you're getting the +1s and you've got things you could toss around. It's like, okay, maybe there's something there, but keep an eye on it because we've seen it work. We've seen it work.
I don't know that I'm a believer.
That's fair. Give it time. We'll find out. But I agree with you that, look, Negasonic could have lost a point of power 6 months ago. And we all would have been like, all right. Easiest point of power to remove. The Debris one I'm a little sad about, though.
I'm not sad about it.
Like, a little bit. Just a tad.
She's
not a lot,
sitting
just
on
a
top
tad.
of everything, dude. I mean, like, yeah, okay, 3-8, 3-7, but like the thing with Debris is she's so good because there are so many decks that are able to utilize the extra bodies for value. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, this is the best stat stick at its cost. And it's costed like that because we assume it to have a downside. And every deck that plays her, it's actually just an upside. And she ends up just, I'm a 3-8 with upside. And it's like, okay, well, that's clearly not a card we can have running around.
I mean, it was definitely a card that when it was previously at 3-7 made sense. Then they buffed it to 3-8. I think it was right at the same time or right before Ozymandias came out.
Ozzy came out, yeah.
Right. So they buffed it to like really further recognize it. They really didn't need to. And then eventually we discover the Ozymandias style hybrid supergiant awesomeness priority. Like it just evolved into being a behemoth, and then it got Wilson Fisk, and then it just in TOV, and then the deck just continued to skyrocket. And
can I just say, Wilson Fisk not eating a nerf is a little bit crazy to me.
It's still one of the best performing cards in the game. I know.
Guy's really good.
He's still surviving. He's a big guy. He could take a lot.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to like just trim some of the fat off. Just like chop a little bit off the top there, dude.
Serious question though. If you make him an 8, is he played at all though?
Oh my God. I thought you were about to say if you make him an 8, do we play him in Cerebro 8?
No. Would have been a great joke. But no, I'm serious.
Monstro just hanging out.
Legitimately, like if that's,
are we kidding?
I'm just I would rather not have the condition and just play Gladiator for the same exact reasons.
I would not. No, God, just get that guy out of here, dude. I don't want to play the 3 lose the game card. I'm good. I'd rather have the condition and not lose the game. But you know who this is a buff to? Kraglin.
Yeah, legitimately.
Undisputed biggest guy around.
Yeah. No, 100%. No jokes on that one. I agree with you. Kraglin's stock is going up, and slowly more and more people are doing Krag. And
yeah, we're all becoming Kragheads.
And it's something to legitimately think about now. You know, you're now really looking at Debris as, okay, this is exclusively an Ozzy TOV card. This is not I want to take the hit from my prio focused, just generic supergiant deck. Like you lose a point of power on that 3 cost, that really, really hurts. So I think it's also a little bit of a buff to Starbrand in the same sense, where if you are playing the TOV deck, you really then have to reconsider, like, are you trying to go wide or tall? And I think you start reconsidering Starbrand for the same reasons too.
I really liked Starbrand in the old TOV lists. I'm slightly less of a lover in the new ones, which are much more Quinjet centric. But the old ones where it's like downside removal, I was a big fan of Starbrand. I am certainly interested to see how things shake up, but it's been harder to get like Starbrand and Lizard in those decks post being Quinjetty. It's been a little bit more efficient to just invest in like whatever thing is going to create cards and just do it that way.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment too. But overall, OTA rating, I'd say this is generally pretty positive. I lean on the sense of like every nerf that was put here, I can understand and accept willingly. And every buff that's on here, deserved and maybe a little bit more. Like the total.
Yeah, no complaints.
Normally you look at one of them and you go, why? Or you look at them and go, oh, that's really aggressive. And it's just
Aurora is a little bit like that. It's like
it's the closest one. It's the closest one where you kind of look at it and go, maybe I don't know.
All right, I'm not buying it. I understand why you would have done it, but I'm not buying it.
I do want to very briefly mention something because I want to get your understanding and your opinion of this. And I'm completely serious. Okay. I want to ask you something. So I was playing willingly at that Triton and I was trying to do some shenanigans. I first was testing the card to see if I could do something with it, like in Captain Carter combo type stuff where it back buffs into, Captain Carter as like another variation. I got some moves to happen, but it just generally wasn't the best. But then people started bringing up different ideas. And one of the really unique things that we did discover with this card that I think might have a little bit of an untapped space to kind of look into, the buff of this card can apply to cards in your graveyard, which was really cool. So we were doing some Phoenix Force stuff but hear me out. Here's where it gets confusing because it actually is backwards coded in two different directions the wrong way. It works this way, where if you have cards revealed and unrevealed, let's say there's a Dark Dimension or there's a Invisible Woman down, it recognizes the last character that you played as a revealed character, right? Just like how Shola would recognize the timing and the ordering, or you play it behind a Supergiant in a certain way, and it recognizes the reveal order. However, it does not apply that way in bouncing off of Luke's bar, and does not apply that way to your graveyard cards. Because it shouldn't.
Here's why I think those two situations are different. Okay. Mm-hmm. Card that bounces off of Luke's bar, I don't know if it's ever actually been played, because there's an ambiguity in Marvel Snap around the word play. And typically the way it refers to being played, what it means is a process. It refers to a process of the card is staged face down, the card reveals, at which point on reveals happen, and then the card enters the board. I wonder if if Luke's bar prevents the third stage of that process from completing, and that's why Triton doesn't recognize it.
Maybe that would make sense.
That is the thing. That is the thing that occurs to me. There is like Luke's bar has been in the game forever. Wouldn't surprise me if there was something like that going on. It hitting the stuff in your graveyard also makes sense because the way it goes to your graveyard is after it's been played. Things aren't going to your graveyard before they finish being played. They've been played, then they go to the graveyard. And but so
if you did a Show Lao scenario, though, if you say you were able to finagle the magic scenario, it's a limbo game. You play Show Lao down. The last card that it should have buffed is in your graveyard. And then you resurrect that card. It doesn't have the Show Lao buff, but it does have a Triton buff.
I think that has to do with how last character played last turn, like would be my guess. That like, I think the Luke's bar one makes sense. And this is like, okay, I get it. I wouldn't be surprised if those were both bugs, though.
Yeah, I submitted as a bug report just in case, because it felt like it shouldn't do that. It was really cool that it did. Like immediately it was like, somebody tell Jet, because there's something you could do here, with the delay, buffing a card in your graveyard and then do the whole Phoenix Force, bring it back kind of stuff. Like there's some stuff that could probably be finagled in there. I haven't tested it with discard graveyard yet, but I'd be curious. Like there's that.
I don't think that card would have been played, right? So you can't get anything into the discard pile that
Luke Spar. No, but
I don't think you can do it. I don't know.
I'll figure out. So I'll break the game. But it was just a very weird thing with Triton. Granted, the card still sucks in every possible way. But I was trying to find out ways, even in its best possible scenario decks, to try to make something work. And we ended up in a rabbit hole. And it was just a very weird interaction that I was like, I don't know if it should be doing that. Granted, I'm probably the only person ever playing the card, yet alone finding this kind of weird ass interaction or thing. But it was just something I wanted to get another voice on, because I'm trying to figure out how the hell do we make this card do anything of value? Like this, I
mean, it's a fine 12th card in the Carter combo deck.
No, it isn't.
I would argue you could argue it's better than Surfer in that deck.
That's what I cut for it, and I'll tell you right now, no. Oh,
interesting.
Absolutely not.
I cut Surfer for Merida, and I kind of think she actually is. Just because you could play her on turn 3.
Yeah, but she's so your third option of what you want to play on turn 3 in that deck.
Absolutely.
You say that way too positively.
Do I disagree with them? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like, if she's your third string quarterback in a 12-person roster, might be over investing in that many positions. That many players into that one position, you know?
Yes, but it's nice to have a backup QB. You know, you never know when you might need Nathan Peterman.
That joke landed with about 6 people, just FYI.
Yes.
Just
much
making
like
sure you know.
The amount of people in the NFL who have ever caught a pass from Nathan Peterman.
I wouldn't be surprised, knowing you, if that's an actual statistic too. But
it's not an actual statistic. I would imagine it's slightly higher, but it seems possible.
Let's actually talk about Merida for a second. What was your?
I have a question. Do you think she's winning her volleyball game against Triton?
She's not playing the same sport as Triton. Triton's playing water polo. She's playing volleyball.
You can't prove that she's not jumping out of the water here.
There's literally a beach underneath her.
I can't see a beach. I just see water.
There's a shoreline right by her foot.
What if it's like a mixed thing, right? The way it works is there's the beach, right? But she's swatting it, and on the other side of this is a pool, and that's what Triton is in.
No, he's indoors. There's boats on the rafters. He's playing water polo. She's outside on a beach. No.
I'm not really seeing your point here. Who's winning?
Neither. Because they both suck. They're both losing their individual games. Not against each other.
Nemerida's a card where I'm just like, I'm happy to have this around. I don't know when it's going to be good, but like, I'm happy I have this. I might need it in the future. You know, like I said, I did some work with the Venus Kitty Pride Bishop's Shell, and I was playing Merida in that, and it was just like, yeah, this card's nice. Every time I play against anyone playing a Gambit or a Sasquatch, I lose. But like, other than that, I felt like I had a bunch of good matchups. Like those were bad.
I will say, pretty confidently, she's a Thanos staple. Like, confidently.
But like, you lose Aurora, don't you?
No. Like, I was messing around here, and let me get the deck view on. Like, I was messing around in this really, really fun space of draw and extra power. And wide power at that, so you can't just be shadow
in a really fun space of Gambit, Horseman of Death.
No, and that actually, here's the funny thing. That's in V2 of this deck. V1 of this deck, which had a better win rate, played Crystal instead.
Yeah, you hear that? Everyone playing Gambit right now, cut him for Crystal. Get him for Crystal.
V1 of the deck was running Crystal and Mockingbird, and I cut Mockingbird.
I'm really scared. Just like, there's no way this one plays with you. Are you familiar with Funkmaster Flex?
The DJ. Continue.
Yes. Can we get some like, boom sound effect during this? Like just, the sound effect that Flex uses.
No.
Can we just can I have a button where I do that on the podcast?
This is where now I take ownership back and say, no, this is my podcast per your verbiage.
Right.
Fuck no. Get off my show.
Okay. So I like the way I conceived about this is there's a famous Funkmaster Flex was premiering Otis, and it took him 18 minutes to play the song because he kept rewinding it and doing the bomb drop sound effect and yelling things over it. And there's a really famous moment during it where he goes like, everybody in New York City, if you're near a corner store, I want you to go inside and put your hand in the cash register for no reason. Bomb sound effect. Their money is your money now. Bomb sound effect. That's what I was thinking of when you talk about the Crystal Gambit thing. Everybody in Marvel Snap, if you're near a Gambit Horseman of Death right now, I want you to go inside. I want you to cut that Gambit Horseman of Death. Bomb sound effect. Replace him with Crystal. Bomb sound effect. Like that's
it's probably not that, but I will say legitimately though, this deck, the Thanos deck, there is something here to this, because I was teching in eventually Mobius and Gambit because I just wanted more tech in the deck, and I think I actually went too far by putting the two of them. I'm probably only going to keep one of them and put Mockingbird back into the deck, but I went really thick on it by having Shadowlands Daredevil in the deck and King Tree being able to draw stuff. Shadowlands Daredevil getting those draws. There's a good amount of power coming from the deck. I was like, you know what? There's actually something here. Because what my favorite combination was playing Merida on 3 into Mind Stone. I had a 22 power Thanos every time I did that. Every single time. I was just boom, 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 draw on 2 turns. And then by turn 6, I got a 5 power, 522 Thanos ready to drop plus something else.
It is a deck that really benefits from, A, it's a deck that draws cards, and B, it's a deck that has a lot of 1-drops.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying before in the Jubilee Silver Surfer comparison, I will always take a free stone versus a stronger stone because it enables so many other things. And then when you also have Venus coming down for cheap on this kind of a deck, great. You could throw this down with a couple of stones and beef it up later with Aurora, or play it on down with, 3 stones plus Iska all at once. That's a great great turn 5. As is, like, there was a lot of closing power. There were several times I'd go from 0 to 30 in one lane on the final turn, plus beef up other stuff, because this just creates so much power so quickly. And, excuse me, I have to recommend Thanos for Merida.
I would like to believe. There's nothing I would like to believe more, to be honest with you. I want to believe so badly in the ability to play Thanos.
It's a great deck. It's a deck that deserves to be good because it has the right amount of flexibility, play through, fill the board. Like it's an approachable character. And everybody can get it now that starts the game really quickly. They get it in the first month for free. Like it's a deck you want to be good. If you're Marvel Snap.
It is. I'm stuck on the phrase approachable. Back when Drake was beefing with Pusha T, like before the story of Adidon, Drake released a song called Duppy Freestyle, and on that song he refers to Pusha T as like, you're not a scary, you're an approachable dude. I just like every time I think of the phrase approachable dude. I think that's great. And I will say this, I got my fiance playing Marvel Snap, told her about the login rewards, and I think she's going to get as far as Thanos. We'll see if she gets 28 days in. I'm hoping.
That's the third movie in the trilogy. 28 days later. Thanos edition.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to make that image now. 28 days later, it's just like a Thanos in the background in the sunset. But this was the only style of deck that I felt like Merida did something in. I was really hopeful that she would be good in ramp, as like the third ramp card. It worked. The 2 out of 20 games that I ended up needing to play her on 3 and then got the card that I was like, okay, I can now make this do the thing on turn 4. I have a play for turn 4 now because I drew a 5-cost card. Awesome. Like, it was okay. It wasn't mandatory, but it was okay. Is there any other home?
Like Sarah Surfer. Because she stacks, right? Like you effectively like get, you know, your 3s become 2s, which become 1s. And that's like, in as much as that deck is real, which is not very, but like it's a deck you can play.
Yeah.
I feel like she's pretty compelling there. That's a deck that plays Merida, Mother Ascani, Sarah, and it's just like, what's up? I've cheated 10 bajillion energy. Good luck. Like that's the game. I've cheated a bunch of energy. Like I don't think it's by far the most compelling I've found a Sarah deck in like a solid 6 months. I'll say that much. I will also say that that's not an overwhelming endorsement either.
I'm still a huge fan. Like if I have to choose between the combo of Merida, Mother Ascani, and Sarah, I'm much rather going Blink and Onslaught. I'm playing the Splat versions so much more consistently. I love those decks. They're so much stronger. I don't know where else.
My cats just walked in a circle around each other, and it looked like a yin yang.
Or they were facing off.
They were. Yeah, I guess kind of. I don't know. Yeah. They sort of get along. My newer cat really wants to love my older cat, but she also really wants to play. And so she sends a bunch of mixed signals that are like, oh, I'm going to walk over to you and like groom you and like lick your face and all this stuff that like the cats love doing. And then the rest of the time it's like, I'm going to walk over to you and I'm going to hit you in the face so you come play with me. And apparently that's how they convey this to each other. And it's, I don't think my older cat is built for this. She was built to be an only child, and she's working through her instincts to be a bully, I think. She's a very sweet girl.
Speaking of being a bully, what'd you think of Grand Arena this go around? Like, not on your video, talking with Roram, like you specifically.
I think it was a very ambitious attempt that I would have a lot of feedback as to how it should run next time. Massive Melee is a super cool idea. Getting the creators' names in the game is an awesome thing for all of those creators. I think that this is an additional thing. I think that it puts them in an awkward position balance-wise, because what they would want to do is, you know, hear the creator decks, and, you know, we'd be like, oh, let's talk to the creators. Let's see if they have any suggestions, right? But it's not the creator's responsibility to have a balanced game. It's the developer's responsibility to have a balanced game. And so if someone submits a deck that is just way too strong, which I think widely agreed upon, I think is the Hulk deck. I think that seems to be the number one complaint, is the Hulk deck, and then maybe the Thing deck, depending on how things go. But like more specifically, just like there's a lot of Cosmic Ghost Rider, there's a lot of Lady Deathstrike, and this is the stuff that's like more minute that they could have been on top of. The Grand Arena is such that, and the creators' incentives are such that my concern would be that a creator is incentivized to make the best deck they possibly can, because that's what gets their name out there the most. But the developers are incentivized to be like, yo, you made that deck, we're going to have to do something about that deck. Like the developers are incentivized to be like, chill. Like, we need to balance the game. Like, it's cool that you guys have ownership of these decks, but we need to take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
And I think that puts both the creators and the developers in a weird spot, because let's say the developers make changes to that deck. Well, is it actually that creator's deck anymore? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, as long as everyone approaches it in good faith, it's like the kind of thing that I think is great and awesome. But there's definitely room for like bad edge cases to happen, for sure.
Oh, I mean,
and go ahead.
I was going to say, I well understand. I look at Untapped because that's the only stats I really have ever and probably will ever have direct access to. And I see my own deck. It's like the second highest performing, second best most played, deck right now. I full well expect them to say, we're going to get rid of a couple cards here because it's just very strong. I expect that to happen if there is a full round of like, okay, Dev needs to step in here so that way we don't just completely ruin the player base from this game.
And for what it's worth, I would imagine it would happen between the time we're recording this and the time this podcast releases. So we're either going to look really smart or really stupid.
I'm okay with both. Part of the process of this, when it was tasked over to me, was here, if we're going to do this, why don't we have the creators do announcements, and we'll do days of announcements and have every creator start, progressively posting, oh, here are the decks for the Grand Arena, and I got to do one, and here's what the deck is going to be. And we started to then have those posts go out, and then Marvel Snap would repost those posts on X, and then we posted up in the Discord in groups as well. I was starting to see people like actually be like, I can't wait to see who's premiering next. I can't wait to look on X or look in the Discord and see what the next deck is that's going to get revealed. The community interaction with that was here's a fun idea. Let's see how this goes. And went really, really well. And I can't wait to start workshopping more ideas that get that kind of a reaction and that kind of involvement and anticipation with the community, because we always, as players, we're always wanting something to look forward to. It's one of the reasons, going way back and tying very far back into it, it's one of the reasons we liked series drops, because we always wanted to know what was coming up. It's one of the reasons we like data mines, because we want to know what's coming up. If I know that, hey, on this day, I'm going to find out, like the OTAs, I know on this day, I'm going to find out this information. I'm going to get this. What do you think is going to be on? It creates conversation, creates interactivity. And something like this, where we had an entire week of informational drops just sprinkling down, building up hype for Grand Arena, just looking at the number of games played, even on Untapped, which isn't obviously the entire player base, but it looks like it's one of the more played iterations of this game mode since its launch. And that's an awesome thing. So I think that this overall was a huge success. Personally, just as a creator and as a player, I think that this iteration of Grand Arena is the right direction for thinking about how the players want to interact with the game modes, because we already have the decision if we want to or not. You can either pay the 800 gold to not give a crap about it, or you can go ahead and play the game mode because you really like the game mode, or you want to play the free-to-play thing and you just grind through it, but you have a better experience. Like, it was just a win overall for the game mode, and everybody, I think, seemed pretty happy with it.
I think it's the best Grand Arena they've done. I mean, not balance-wise, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Decks.
I mean,
there's
Dr.
21
Doom
decks, dude. Someone's got to be the outlier. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not number one.
It is.
Deck,
I will say, if you want to find
something
something to complain about for Grand Arena, here's the complaint meta for Grand Arena. There's only two types of decks in Grand Arena, dude. It's either a big cheat points deck with tech in it, or a deck that just goes over the top of everything else. That is the kind of thing where it's like the biggest risk of these game modes is a misidentification of relative power level with relative tryhardness.
Mm-hmm. Coming from the guy who, I who just said, look, I'm going to play a Dr. Doom deck and put all the big cards and a couple of fun tech pieces. You made maybe
two suboptimal choices that I think were you sort of recognizing what you've done and didn't I need to do something about this. So I know, I'm not a jerk.
I know this deck does not need to have Shadowlands Daredevil and Malekith. I am well aware of that. And I thought it was a fun.
And I was like, yeah.
It's an option. It's a fun card to drop on 4. And it was, you know what? If I'm going to play this, I'm going to play Malekith on 4 because I haven't drawn Shadowlands Daredevil. I don't want to draw that thing late. It's the only card it's going to draw. And then everything else is going to be something I can play on turn 5. So that's fine. That was the whole point of the deck. It's either going to draw demons and put them on the board as a 4/12 in 2 spaces, or it's going to remove the option entirely. It was not suboptimal. It was strategy.
You felt bad. You were like, Oh man.
Yeah, I just want to. I know game modes aren't typically something that you really overly dive into, but being that this one was so different, I think it opens the door to other differentiation.
I have a lot of thoughts on it. There are a lot of good things about this. It is one of those things that, like, you know, I would love to be able to strip down, and I'm going to make up a word here, efficientize.
So basically, if you implement everything you want to implement and it bombs, it's your fault. Good to know I can pass that off.
You're my sin eater. Everything I do that's good is my credit. Everything I do that's bad is your fault.
Luckily, I'm not your boss, and you could just blame your boss. That's fine.
We're contractors.
We're always going to blame our boss. It's what we do. So,
you think he's watching?
Not anymore. Seriously, you can go now. You don't have to watch anymore. I appreciate it. That goes for all of you after you like and subscribe and all that stuff.
Later.
Appreciate you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.